Have you ever had someone just take something that wasn't theirs and act like they were entitled to it? That's exactly what happened to me when Karen, my overly entitled neighbor, decided that my honey was hers for the taking. It all started innocently enough. I've been keeping bees for a while now, and let me tell you, my honey is top-notch. But one day, Karen came knocking, asking for a jar. At first, I thought nothing of it, but when she came back for more and more, I realized this wasn't a simple request. She was starting to feel like she deserved it. I tried talking to her, but she was relentless. She thought because she lived next door, she had the right to help herself to whatever she wanted. You can imagine how frustrating it was. That's when I decided enough was enough. If Karen wasn't going to respect my boundaries, maybe the bees could teach her a lesson. So, I let the bees do the talking. What happened next was something I never expected. The bees, in all their buzzing glory, had a few things to show her about respect and personal space. But the story doesn't end there. What happened when Karen got too close to the hive left everyone, including her, buzzing with surprise. Stay tuned to see how it all unfolds. At first, Karen seemed like an okay neighbor. She'd wave when passing by, make small talk about the weather, and occasionally ask if I needed anything. But over time, I noticed something strange. Her little requests for honey were no longer casual favors. She started making demands, coming over every week, insisting that I owed her for some imaginary favor from the past. It felt like she didn't even see me as a person anymore, just a source of free stuff. And what's worse, she didn't even bother to ask politely anymore. It was as if she felt entitled to whatever I had. I'd spent months perfecting my beekeeping skills, learning the delicate balance of tending to the hive, making sure my bees were healthy, and harvesting honey at just the right time. This honey wasn't just something I threw together. It was the product of hard work and patience. But to Karen, none of that seemed to matter. She saw it as something she had a right to, just because she lived nearby. One evening, after another one of her honey requests, I had enough. I explained I couldn't keep giving her jar after jar for free. That's when she snapped, saying that it wasn't like I needed all of it, and that I should be grateful she even asked. I knew right then that if I didn't stand my ground, it wouldn't stop. So, I decided to take a different approach, one that would make her understand exactly what personal space meant, even if it took a little help from my buzzing friends. The next few days felt like a ticking time bomb. Every time I saw Karen outside, I could feel the weight of her expectations hanging in the air. She'd throw me these looks, like she was waiting for me to hand over another jar of honey. I couldn't stand it anymore, but I wasn't ready to confront her head-on just yet. I needed a plan, something that would make her realize that I wasn't just some pushover. I started researching more about bees, how they communicate, their behavior when they feel threatened, and how they defend their hive. The more I read, the more I realized that bees weren't just passive creatures. They had boundaries too. If you crossed them, they let you know. And that's exactly what I needed Karen to experience. Not in a harmful way, of course, but in a way that would show her the consequences of pushing too far. Then it hit me. My best friend, Alex, had always told me that I should share my honey with the local farmers market. The idea was appealing, but I had always kept it just for myself, figuring the bees had worked so hard. They deserved to be treated with respect. But now it felt like it was time to make the honey something special again. Not for Karen. I started preparing for a small harvest, planning to bottle it up for a market stall. That way, if Karen came around again, I'd be ready. But there was something else brewing beneath the surface. Karen wasn't just after honey anymore. I had started noticing her hanging around my garden, watching my hives from a distance, almost like she was waiting for something. It felt like she knew something was coming. But what was she really up to? Was she planning to take even more, or was there something deeper going on? Every time I saw her lurking around, I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. I had no idea how far she'd go to get what she wanted. And worse, I wasn't sure how far I was willing to go to stop her. The days passed in a blur of uneasy silence. I kept seeing Karen, always lurking at the edges of my garden, as if she was studying my every move. It made me feel like she was planning something. But what? Was she going to try and take all my honey this time? Or was it something more sinister? I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just about honey anymore. There was something bigger going on, and I had no idea what. Then, one evening, I saw her sneaking closer to the hives. It was just after sunset, the air still warm and thick with the smell of flowers and honey. I had just finished sealing up a few jars for the market when I spotted her out of the corner of my eye, creeping toward the fence. My heart stopped. She was too close to the hives, too close to the bees. The sun was almost down, and I knew this wasn't a good time to be messing with them. I rushed outside, my voice shaking as I called, "Karen, what are you doing?" She froze, looking back at me with a sheepish grin that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Just admiring the bees," she said, but I could see the glint of something in her hand. A jar, half filled with honey, that she'd clearly taken from one of my hives. My blood boiled. She'd done it again. But this time, she had gone too far. "I've had enough, Karen. This ends now," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. But before I could move any closer, something unexpected happened. The bees, normally calm, docile, began buzzing louder, more agitated. I could feel the tension building in the air, the hum of the hive growing thick and threatening. Karen seemed to sense it too. Her eyes widened, and for a moment she looked almost afraid. But then she stepped forward, as if daring the bees to do something. "What's the big deal?" she asked, her voice cold now, no longer pretending to be friendly. "It's just honey." But she didn't understand. It wasn't just honey. It was respect, it was boundaries, and it was something she crossed. As the bees started to grow more restless, I knew the moment of truth was coming. Would she back off, or would she push the bees? And me? Too far. The air was electric with tension, and I had no idea what would happen next. But I could feel one thing for sure. This was the point of no return. The bees were getting louder now, the hum turning into a frenzied buzz that sent a shiver down my spine. Karen stood there, unblinking, daring them to come closer. Her defiance only made the tension in the air thicker. But just as I thought she might back off, something unexpected happened. A new, deeper buzz from the hives. I turned my head just in time to see a shadow moving between the rows of flowers, a figure darting toward the hive. It was Alex, my best friend. But why was he here? And why was he running toward the hives with a determined look on his face? "Alex," I shouted, but he didn't stop. He was already crouching near one of the hives, his hands moving quickly as though he knew exactly what he was doing. It didn't take long for me to realize what was happening. He was removing the protective lid of the hive. I froze in shock. "Alex, what are you doing?" I yelled again, but he didn't answer, too focused on whatever it was he was trying to pull off. Karen, now seemingly emboldened by the chaos, stepped closer, her eyes wide with curiosity. She didn't even seem to notice the bees, which were swarming around more aggressively now. My heart was pounding. What was Alex thinking? If he disturbed the hive at the wrong moment, it could make everything worse. And worse than that, if Karen got too close, she was asking for trouble. "Stop," I screamed, but it was too late. The lid had been fully removed, and the bees were now buzzing in frantic circles, stinging anything that came near. My panic surged as I watched Alex stumble back, eyes wide, as a cloud of bees surrounded him. But just as quickly as it had begun, the chaos settled, almost too quickly. The bees, it seemed, had calmed down. And in that eerie silence, something shifted. I saw Karen, her expression changed. Not fear, but something darker. Like she'd been waiting for this moment all along. The bees weren't the only thing buzzing in the air now. The air felt thick with the weight of a bigger plan, something deeper, something I still couldn't quite see. What had Alex been doing? What had Karen known? And most importantly, why had she been so determined to push me to this point? The stakes had just been raised. And I realized then that what I was dealing with wasn't just a simple neighbor dispute over honey, it was something far more dangerous. The air felt thick with tension as I watched Alex stumble back, his eyes wide and hands still raised, as if trying to shield himself from the bees. But then, in a moment of unexpected calm, the swarm seemed to dissipate, floating gently around the hive before settling back into their natural rhythm. It was as if they'd recognized something. And in that stillness, I saw something else in Karen's eyes, something that sent a cold shiver down my spine. She wasn't afraid. She was smirking. I had seen that look before, but never like this. It was almost as if she had known exactly what would happen. Her gaze flickered to Alex and then back to me. "I told you," she said, her voice low and dangerous. "You were never in control. You just didn't know it." I took a step back, confusion swirling in my mind. What did she mean? I'd spent months trying to protect my bees, my honey, my boundaries, and here she was, acting like she'd orchestrated the whole thing. Before I could respond, Alex's voice cut through the silence. "I had to do it, man. I didn't want to, but I didn't have a choice," he said, his face pale. "Karen, she's been manipulating me. She got to me. She knew about the bees, about how they react when they're disturbed. She promised me a cut of your honey. She made me mess with the hive to provoke them." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Alex, my best friend, had been working with Karen the whole time. Betrayal hit me like a punch to the gut, but it didn't stop there. Karen wasn't done. "You think it's just honey?" she sneered, taking a step forward. "You have no idea what the bees are really worth. The honey's just the beginning. You've got something more valuable here, something I've been watching for months. And now, with your bees all stirred up, I'm taking what's mine." My heart pounded in my chest. What was she talking about? She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small vial, clear, almost glowing. My breath caught. It was a rare form of honey, something I had never shared with anyone. It was the product of a specific flower that only bloomed once a year. I'd been keeping it for myself, but I never imagined anyone else would know about it. Suddenly, everything clicked. Karen hadn't been after just honey. She'd been after the rare honey, the one with medicinal properties, the one that could sell for a fortune, and Alex had betrayed me for it. In that moment, everything in me wanted to lash out, to confront them both. But before I could, I noticed something even more chilling. The bees, which had calmed down earlier, were now swarming again. But this time, they weren't coming toward us. They were flying away, leaving the hive. They weren't just leaving the yard, they were disappearing into the distance, as if they knew something I didn't. "Where are they going?" I whispered. Karen's grin widened. "I told you, you never understood them. They're not yours. They never were." The bees, once so loyal to me, were now abandoning their hive, and I was left standing there, staring at the emptiness they left behind. My heart sank, and the reality hit me hard. Karen had been working this plan for months, pulling the strings and manipulating everyone around her. But I couldn't help but wonder, what did she want with the bees? And where were they going? Before I could ask another question, Karen turned and walked away, her steps confident, as if she had already won. Alex stood there, staring at the empty hive, guilt written all over his face. But there was nothing either of us could do now. As I stood in the silence, the weight of the situation crushed me. The bees were gone. My rare honey was gone. And in the end, I was left with nothing but the bitter sting of betrayal. But the twist, it wasn't over. Not yet. Because in the distance, in the soft glow of the fading sunlight, I could see something moving, something small. The bees hadn't disappeared. They had just, *, moved on *,